Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'd like to go through basically a minimalist fine art black and white image that I have. This was taken up at Deception Pass, which is the way I'm looking north of here, about an hour north of Seattle. There's a dock there. It was a fairly foggy day, a cloudy day, and it was perfect for a long exposure. I think I did, I don't know, 2-3 minutes exposure to really smooth out the water, streak the clouds, and just kind of do the more minimalist fine art style. Most people, everybody kind of has their own interpretation of fine art. I think of it as a minimalist look like this one. It's a dock, it's water, it's sky, that's it. And some people just consider something else fine art. Anything that's nice and just a nice black and white image or anything like that. So today I'd like to go over some tips and tricks on how I created the image that I have on my website. Now I'll show you what I have on my website. Okay, so this is the image that's on my website. You can see it's very simple, not a lot going on, clouds, dock, and that is it. And it makes it just a really nice, simple image. So let me go ahead and I will shut this down. And so here's where the image started. A nice little bird hanging out that moved its head. I have a fence. We have some kind of hazy mountains in the background, a little buoy. And we'll start off, I'll show you how I went from here to here. Instead, I just got rid of everything in the background, just smoothed it out. And so this is where I started. And of course, if you look down here, we have some sort of weeds or something growing off the dock. So a simple way to do this is you can either start out with like the lasso tool and just kind of do a nice little circle like this, just to see how we end up. You do shift delete. Oops, I should actually turn that layer on. Like that. Hey, there we go. Whoops, that's because that's the wrong layer. Let me start over here. Go to the one below it. Let's do a quick lasso here. Just kind of see if we can get rid of all this. Shift, delete, and then enter. And it does a content aware fill. You can see that did okay. I got rid of the mountains, but there's still a really hard line. So what I like to do is do the clone stamp tool. Let's start out at 100%. And you just kind of take a sample and you just kind of run it in. But you can see that's pretty heavy. So we'll get rid of that. So let's drop this down to, say, around 50%. Take another sample, just kind of brush it in like that. Now we'll sample from the water, brush that in. Now let's go even lower opacity, like 23%. Just kind of brush this in. Just kind of slowly working your way through it. Sample from the water. Just kind of work through. Just anything to get rid of the hard line in the image. And as you get closer to the dock, you have to zoom in a little more. Let's make the brush size a little smaller. Let's just zoom out just a little bit so we have more room to work with. I'll just sample from up here and just kind of sample in, sample from down here. Slowly work our way in because we don't want to really get into the dock at all. Just kind of, and then slowly make your brush harder as well. Go about 60% hardness on the brush so we don't interfere with the dock. Just something, just kind of keep working it in. So that's how you get rid of imperfections like that you don't want in your image. Then same thing with the fence. We can just go 100%, just kind of sample from up above it and just, oops, let's make a smaller brush. Get rid of that. Just kind of start here and you just kind of work your way across. Just simple, easy. Same thing with the bird. Get rid of the bird because he's annoying. And then also what you want to be careful of is, see inside here, all this little stuff, all this fence in here, you want to get rid of that as well. I didn't do anything about the section on the fencing, on the wooden fence, but everything in between the wooden planks I got rid of. So what I'd do is I would sample actually from over here And then you can see I just slowly brush this in. And so you have to keep taking samples, because obviously this is very thin and this is thicker over here. So let me start sampling again over here, something like this. And you just keep working your way through all your imperfections. Like down here, you can see you've got this weird line. I don't know what that's about. All that up there. And just work your way through. Same thing with the grasses or whatever this is. You just make a bigger brush size. Then just slowly. So you do have to keep picking the cursor up. Because if you don't, so I'll start here. See, if I take a sample here and I start here, as it moves over, what's sampling is still what used to be there. So I found if I just keep sampling like this, then I pick it up, take another sample, pick it up. Or you can just like, if I sample here, just do this, and you just keep picking up the cursor, and then the sample won't get what used to be there. See, if I just do this and just keep working my way up, then it starts not doing what it's supposed to be doing. And then sometimes you'll see like these bright spots in the sky. You can just do like a lasso tool, shift delete. Sometimes it works pretty well. Sometimes you have to kind of work at it a little bit. Like I've found anything with hard edges like this sometimes will not work that well. You can see it made it a little better, but you just kind of keep working at it, things like that. So, but I'm just going to leave that as is for now. So by the time I was done dealing with all that stuff, I ended up with this. And actually what I forgot to do in this was, you can see, get rid of all there's a hill on the background. It's somewhere about this in the dock here. So this is the hill in the background with the trees and stuff. And I did get rid of that in the final image. What I did from here was I went through and using any sort of luminosity program, you can see I have a lights 2, I have a lights 1.5, a darks 2, darks 3, darks 1.5, and then this lights 2 copy 2. What I did is I took this one and I hit Command M and just brought up a curves adjustment, and I just really push the whites, or the brights, just so it more isolated the dock. If you wanted to, you can do something like this as well, but I don't like the way it does with the water down there, so I just left it as a big curve. So that is how I ended up with this one here. Now to get started in the black and white, a lot of times I will go with just the neutral black and white in the Artisan Pro X panel. And it will work and work and work and do its thing, and then this is where it starts. But this panel has, see these color tabs down here? Those are basically black and white filters. So people that shoot in black and white film, there's the filters you can put on your lens to give you a different black and white look. I forget, I don't know what they do. I want to say like the red darkens the blues. In fact, I'll just kind of go through each of them. So if I go yellow, let's see, so that's that. But then the blue, you can see it got rid of more of the sky. Let's try the red, or the darker red. You can see that made the whole thing fairly dark. Let's try the green. That looks similar to the yellow, I think. Yeah, very similar to the yellow. And then the lighter red. So you can see they each do something a little different. Like I said, people that shoot in black and white film, they will know more about how these filters work and what they do. Film is not my thing, so I do not know. So let's just go ahead and get rid of all of these. Then we'll start on the black and white blue filter. To get started, let's go ahead and pick a selection. And I want to darken the dock a little more. So I want to do one of my darks. Darks 1, darks 2. Let's see, darks 3, darks 1.5. So let's start with the darks 2. So we come here. Actually, let's make a copy, Command J. And just make a copy so that we don't interfere with the first black and white adjustment. So we'll go darks 2, new selection. Then we'll come over to Tools, Pro Adjustments, and we'll just hit the darken button. Go something like that. Yeah, that's looking a little better. But I want to lighten the foreground here. We'll do the lights 2 copy 2, because that was really highlighted white, I guess the term I'm looking for. And then let's go to depth. We'll go, what are we doing? We're doing left to right on the bottom, from bottom left. So this makes a diagonal up the bottom left. Then we'll go lighten, which is strength 2, and then 50% of the image gets adjusted. This is a quarter of the image gets adjusted. Let's just keep tapping on this because we want to bring out that bottom, make that brighter. I think that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and merge these down to here. And then this is, if we need to make any adjustments, then from here, we would just go ahead and hit the restore. I don't think we need to make any adjustments because that's looking pretty good. We have some bright spots over here, so we can look at our highlights. So you can see that. So yeah, so let's go ahead. Let's make a copy of this. Let's do copy 3. Now let's do a curves adjustment again. Controller Command M. Let's get this out of the way so we can see the highlights here. Let's bring this down so it only really affects the brightest parts of the image. So we'll bring this up. So let's try that. So go Selection, Lights to copy 3. And then let's go to Tools, Pro Adjustments. I want to darken this. This will also give it a little bit of depth in the sky. Kind of add a little dimension. Let's see, does that look good? Let's get rid of the marching ants here. Yeah, I like that. But I still want to darken part of, because I'm trying to darken the railing a little more. Now obviously this isn't going to look exactly like it does on my website because it never does. So we'll have that, put a mask on this. Let's do a brush about like that. Make sure we're on black. Then we can just brush. What are we on opacity? Let's try 100%. Let's just go right from the start. Do something gentle. Something like that. Let's look at our mask here. Hit Option and click. Okay, looks like we want to do in here. Now let's just do a larger brush. Just get rid of anything up here. Do a smaller brush so we don't, oops, let's go a little bit bigger. Just kind of brush in this. Now let's look at our mask. Okay, so now that we're on the mask, we can see what we need to do and just do all of this. How does that look? Yeah, I like that better. Darken a little bit of railing. Yep, I like that. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. In fact, I think we're almost done. What I want to do is I want to fix this here. So I'll make a merged layer here, which is Command Option Shift E. If I can get it here, there we go. Let's go back to our clone stamp tool. Let's do about 30%. Where's my brush? Make a fairly large brush here. Super soft. Let's go ahead and take a sample. Just kind of sample from here. Just kind of easily brush this in. Something like that. So there's still a little bit of texture there. You can see there's still that line right through the middle there, but it's not as pronounced anymore. I'd like to do the same thing for this one here. Just a light little brushing. Let's go ahead and do this one. Whoops, don't add a hard edge. Yeah, let's do this one once more. Uh-oh, what did I do? I have a bad line right there. Command Z, there we go. Don't sample the dock while you're trying to get rid of, and then that's looking pretty good. I like that. I think we'll call that good. So you can see we started from here. Let me get rid of this. There we go. There's mountains in the background, there's trees, there's fencing, there's birds, and we finish with this. Now obviously the last step would be to get rid of this stuff. And the way I did that was clone stamp tool, make a brush small, really small, 100% opacity, hard edge, and then you just sample like in there, and then you just slowly work your way through the image. Something like that, but be a little more careful. But if you do something like that, just sample from up there, then just bring that down like that. And then obviously even smaller brush, take another sample, and just get right in there. Whoops. And then if you hit, you know, sample here, and you do it, whoops. Let's see if I can get this right here. Do that, then hold the shift key, and then click over, it'll just draw a straight line. So something like that, you can sample, say, from here, and then click right here, and then hold the shift key, then move your cursor all the way over to here, and it'll just make a hard line. Come back to here, to the bottom, shift key, and you can see it just cleans it right up, makes it pretty quick, and then just work your way through the image. You can see I've got all this to do and all down here, and then here's basically most of the final image on this other tab, and this shows, if I can get that to go away, you know, everything that was cleared out, and then obviously this was all straightened out in the final image. Everything was sampled properly like that there, and I got rid of any sort of halos that were in it. And then that is how you create a fine art minimalist black and white image. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment and I'll answer as best I can. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.